So I'm going to continue with Trucktung's book, Letters to Friends. This one is called Dear Blind Donkey, with a little star to it, so he must explain something later. We must learn from everyone. Swordsman, carpenter, baker, tree, wind, sky, child's car seat, mushroom and eggplant, ankle, thigh, hawk ripping out guts of mouse, black night, early dawn, and midday in between. Mind must stop nowhere. What do I mean by mind must stop nowhere? Awareness is radiance to infinity, from a mystery without center or circumference. Its only urge is to shine, to infinite. Its only urge is to shine to infinity, touching along the way all appearances, the play of its own luminosity. I read it. Its only urge is to shine to infinity, touching along the way all appearances, the play of its own luminosity. It touches gently, without stopping. It shines as of through each appearance. It shines in each appearance. When it does this, things remain free. When it stops to form opinions, judgments, or concepts about appearances, it is required to dim itself down in a recursive loop. This loop creates the self with its identifications and confusions. Left unhindered, awareness is filled with simple Gnostic transconceptual knowing. Let me use the words of the great Takuan to further explain. Takuan Soho was a Zen master and friend to the great swordsman Musashi. In a letter he wrote to Musashi's rival, he elucidates the mind that never stops and is also called immovable. It's a quote, "Only the immovable can be called never stops, and only that which never stops can be called immovable." Takuan says, "And the mind which never stops is called immovable. Fudo Myo grasps a sword in his right hand and holds a rope in his left. He bares his teeth and his eyes flash with anger. His form stands firmly. He is immovable wisdom. Seeing his form, the ordinary man becomes afraid and has no thoughts of becoming an enemy. The man who is close to enlightenment understands that this manifests immovable wisdom. What is called Fudo Myo is said to be one's unmoving mind and unfacilitating body. Glancing at something and not stopping, the mind is called immovable. This is because when mind stops at something, as the breast is filled with various judgments, these are various movements within it. When its movements cease, the stopping mind moves, but it does not move at all. When its movements cease, the stopping mind moves, but it does not move at all. If 10 men, each with a sword, come at you with swords slashing, if you parry each sword without stopping the mind at each action and go from one to the next, you will not be lacking in a proper action for every one of 10. Although the mind acts 10 times with 10 men, it never halts even once, never stops. It's a quote from Takuan in the book The Unfettered Mind. This is beauty. This instruction is wisdom for going beyond the narrow box canyon of birth and death. Dearest friend, learn to allow the mind to move to infinity, at which moment it is immovable. It is the protector of dharmas. When the mind stops at objects and things, then the sword has already cut you down. No enemy is needed. The sword of your own delusion slashes the vein of life. Mind is merely radiance of awareness. Radiance wishes, longs, is determined to move beyond all things and shine through all appearances, revealing them to be empty appearance and appearance emptiness, until it reaches the limitless limit of infinity. Well, at least I read that line again. So the sword of your own delusion slashes the vein of life. Mind is merely radiance of awareness. Radiance wishes, longs, is determined to move beyond all things and shine through all appearances, revealing them to be empty appearance and appearance emptiness, until it reaches the limitless limit of infinity. When mind stops nowhere but shines infinitely, then it is immovable and it is also love. This is the only true love. This is the love that raises the dead, slain on the battlefield, of never having truly lived. Wow. May it raise your own zombie corpse and bring you beyond the boundary of birth and death. Let us learn from swordsmen both how to live and how to die, and how to go beyond both. Let us allow our love to outshine all stopping until moving reaches the immovable. With love, this scabbard of the sword of love. Tractum. Okay, here's another letter. Dear friend of our mutual friend, in response to your sad letter, why? Why live in a narrow box called life? Why make your home a prison? Why settle down and become comfortable in the ramshackle rooms of samsara? This human life is, in and of itself, quite confusing and painful. Some traditions teach that you were meant to live well in this life in order to achieve a better life after death. What a sad notion. But this life is not for itself either. You are meant to live this life as ornament, as display of that greater life that is always already present. You are meant to be rooted in the Dharmakaya, radiant in the Sambhogakaya, and to live expression of that in this place. Anything else leads to suffering. So this life is an invitation, not a tomb, not a graveyard, as you suggest. Appearances are seduction, seduction into wisdom, or seduction into bondage. If you don't find their source, their origin, their ground, their substance within their substance, then your life will be bound by triviality and you will die without having lived. Exactly as you feel is happening. Ah, exactly as you feel is happening. But that is not the only choice. All these so-called needs, wants, and demands are the planks of your coffin. Your comfort, your routines, and your consolations are the nails. But there's another choice. Life itself is inviting you out beyond and beyond. I'm not saying you have to change external circumstances particularly. Your bondage is not caused by your spouse or children, job or home. The bondage of delusion is unrelated to external causes. It is created by mind, and mind accompanies you no matter where you go or what you do. Bondage is to live without diving into the mystery of what is and finding the depth and height of it. Some dive into the mystery through meditation, born of pure sublime curiosity. Some dive in through love, like a bee dives into the lotus blossom. Either way is perfect. As we grow older, we become more complacent. We become at ease with the way things are and decide that it's okay to conclude that our limited and unsatisfying life is all there is. A certain jaded cynicism sets in. This is especially true of the children of the 60s, like you, whose initial search was laced with so much confusion, self-centeredness, and fantasy. They sought and searched and did not discover wisdom, and then decided the teachings are a sham. Don't go with the flow, because unless you live as the ocean of realization, the flow is only going towards death. As we grow old, our bodies increasingly seek comfort. As we grow old, our minds become complacent and weary, settles for the status quo. We become swaddled in habit. We become sure of our actions. We become easeful in the day-to-day living of our life unto death. That is when it is most important to take up the way again. Having so much experience of the falsity of life lived without having discovered the depth of meaning, we have so little left to lose. Perhaps you think you have already taken up the way, but you must push further. You must confront the complacency of your mind and body and heart. You must look honestly at what caused failure before. Look within yourself at your previous motivations and intentions. Ruthless self-honesty is needed. Over time, we become convinced we have made real efforts. We look back on the retreats we have done, the mantras accumulated, the moments of insight, and we sit back on the sofa for our contentment as death. And we sit back on the sofa for our contentment as death owes more to swallow us whole. I assure you, there is a way to truth. And if you seek this way, both inside and outside yourself, and follow it with care, you will learn what the aging body actually wants. Every day to rest the mind in bliss, the heart in silence, the body in joy, even if only for a moment. And this is far better than the Tahitian vacation that has left you so depressed. Learn this, and then let the logic of that love, that mystery, influence your actions. When you rest in bliss, and your body is full of brilliant love for all appearances, and appearances no longer act as bondage, but as ornament, and the energy of awareness arises as actions for the benefit of all, then don't rest. Even then, enact, embody. There is no end. There is no destination. There is no stopping place. Birds have their nest, and foxes have their dens, but the Son of Man has no place to rest his head. Jesus said this. There is no peak of love, only a mystery, where each peak of love opens the view to a new adventure, a new mystery, a new peak of love. With sincere love, this. One more letter. Dear Kay, and a quote from Rumi. A lover doesn't figure the odds. You ask what I think of so and so's path. I don't think of how I don't think. No, I don't. I think of how I can live my own more fully and deeply. How can I incarnate love more fully? There's a mystery that is extensive and pervasive, and its name is love. This love is an unutterable mystery, beyond even the concepts experience and experiencer. It is extensive because its radiance is what becomes the 10 directions and 3 times. There is no place, no spot, internal, external, or in between. It is not. It is pervasive because it pervades every cell, every atom, every subatomic particle, and all of the space that holds these particles. It pervades them not the way wetness pervades a wet sock, but the way wetness pervades a drop of water. When in the deep of meditation your hard mind comes to notice, there will be an end to chaos within the mind. For in knowing this one thing, you have known everything in its truth, in its intimacy. When in the depths of devotion, the body's natural love responds. When in the depth of devotion, the body's natural love responds. One more time. When in the depth of devotion, the body's natural love responds to what is most sublime. This love comes to inhabit your doing and becoming. Then the 10 virtuous actions will be spontaneously manifest. It is natural pleasure of the body's cells, of the mind's thinking, of feelings longing to stretch out into this mysterious wonder. The path is the how-to manual of this natural unfoldment. The path is walked as naturally as a snake uncoiling itself and moving forward. The path is not an invitation to self-righteous superiority. Once entered into, our lives are lived in the temple of ruin. Love has broken down the walls of our desolation and isolation and left us under the open sky, revealed by the collapse of our guarded fears. This is the inner gift of taking refuge and bodhisattva vows. Those who love the divine feel joy. Joy grows into love, love into compassion, and all is balanced in the discipline of equanimity. Those who have entered the way will ceaselessly strive to love and enact, embody and enworld love and friendliness. They will also ceaselessly encounter their own limitations on love and move beyond these limitations in the discipline of relatedness. This life, our loves, our families, our friends, our world is the ascetic's cave. Here is the true renunciation where we turn our backs on the habits of unlove and rework our body, emotions, and minds according to the beauty and demands of loving. Like gold, fired in a furnace to remove impurities, our lives are fired in the furnace of spiritual practice, and the dross is burnt off. Like gold fashioned into countless ornaments, our lives are hammered and molded by love into the display of joy. There's no way to know what that display will look like. There are no dogmas or rules that can make safe the journey or dictate the outcome. Each being is too mysterious for that smallness. The rose is not the majestic pine. Einstein is not Pablo Neruda. Buddha was not Krishna. I am not you, and no other being will ever be you again. Each person finds their way in the world, following the path of their own choosing. The wisdom of those paths display itself in the flowering of love or the frustrations of delusion. A path is a direction, not a dogma. The way is a yearning, not a destination. You've asked my opinion on so and so's actions. I have none. Why should I? I have an opinion on my own actions. I would like to learn to love more. How deeply and constantly can this body love? How deeply and fearlessly into life can this body's loves go? My opinion is that I should keep my attention on, rather than expand effort judging the spiritual path of someone I've never met. After almost 50 years of teaching philosophy, my father said, "What I have learned over time is that there are very few things I need to have an opinion about." I agree with him. You should follow your own intuition as to how you wish to live. But as you asked my thoughts, I have jotted down a few. With love, Taktum. And with these lovely letters, uh, we come to the end of today. Tomorrow I'm going to continue with Traktum's book. So have a great day. Bye.